cloud. All right, thank you guys for jumping in. Session 18. My apologies, I missed out on last week. Went backpacking in Ojai. Always fun. And for those online, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to jump on and ask away. All right, so we're working our way through the transaction. We've covered real estate expert. We've covered quite a long list of items. What is negotiation? The 3 P's of negotiation tips. So this one we may very well fly through. Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. Any thoughts on the quote of the day here, online or here in person? You guys ever
I guess it's like negotiating is like, it is a part of everyday life because like we negotiate, my husband and I negotiate.
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah.
I mean, you know, wherever we're going, we negotiate. It's not necessarily like a negative thing, you know, it's not necessarily like an argument, but it's, you know, if you never mention anything or if you don't ask or, you know, talk about it, you never know.
Yep.
It's probably better than, because you could get into an argument if you didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. Something simple like, where do you want to eat? You know, that like opens up a fight, like right there, right? So, and it always ends up, oh, it's just go to Chili's, or, you know, whatever, or Whole Foods or something. So, negotiating with your kids, like, hey, Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want this, or whatever, right? You're like, yeah, times however many, times 4. Max and Alana kind of got the system down. They're like, oh, you know, we've been working and doing this, and I know if we get this, this will help us. And I'm like, oh, they got me good. They know the one thing, the domino effect and all that stuff, right? So that's negotiation. The 2 younger ones are learning, you know, they just can't say whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica, for getting Monique in there.
My dad knew, like, if I just said, oh, she wants money.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go.
He's already set up with his little negotiation.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys heard us say the 1 rule of 5 is now the 1 rule of 6, which is practice, prospect, lead follow-up, get on set and be on appointments, negotiate contracts, manage the money. So the 5th rule in there, negotiating, actually is a fabric of what we do in real estate. Even before we're negotiating an offer, we're still negotiating terms with the buyer, rules of engagement. We're setting our expectations, which is oddly enough negotiating, because we're literally telling them, hey, I know you're available around these times, but however, are you available around this time or this time, right? Like I was on his call last night, and this one lady was like, oh, I just answer the phone whenever they call. So my whole day is just like a randomness of events. And I'm like,
I know her, by the way.
oh, Star?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is.
Yeah.
And the drink company?
Oh, not Star, Star Tomlinson, Star James.
Oh.
Yeah, but Star Tomlinson is also pretty
I
cool
took
too.
a class with her like 2 years ago.
Ah,
Coaching.
oh, how cool.
She's cool, I like her.
Yeah, she's neat.
We're doing a lot of groups together.
I'm surprised she's not added Keller Williams. Like it blows me away. I'm like,
It took me a while to find my way here.
gotcha.
Yeah, I wish someone would have told me right from the beginning.
I was lucky. I started at KW. I wish I had found this place way sooner.
Yeah,
this
same.
specific place, but it's all good. So the point is here is that it's every day. So it's all part of what we do, and it shouldn't be feared of, right? And there's on this. They didn't bring it up, but Lee Steinberg in his book, he writes about a story where he was, or I don't know if it was him or his mentor, was representing Dr. J, right, the basketball player. And Dr. J at that point was prolific. You know, he was pre-Michael Jordan, all that fun stuff. And one of the things that he asked for was a personal chef year round, right? He wanted to eat good, not just during the season when they could go out to like nice restaurants and everything. He wanted a professional chef or personal chef year round while he was under contract, even during the off season. And the guy said, let's ask. So he asked and he got it, right? He was the first multi-million-dollar basketball player, and he got a personal chef out of the deal too. And the point of that story was, you know, negotiation is really just asking. You know, without asking, there's no opportunity, there's no attempt, right? So here we go. Which Y4Cs, 2s, TEs relate back to the negotiating process? And I would even say like almost all of them somehow relate to negotiating, right? Like win-win or no deal, integrity, we want to obviously negotiate with an integrity. Customers always come first. It's not us asking for a better commission or whatever it is. Commitment to seeing it all the way through, right? Communication, we're literally seeking first to understand where the other side is coming from. That same rule, even though we're kind of shifting, we're pivoting and shifting over into potentially a buyer's market, finding out what the listing agent and the seller want and how we can still write that offer that grabs their attention and will make it easier for them to accept our offer is still part of the communication process. You know, one of the things we have to remember when we're negotiating is that there's a good chance we're going to be in relationship with this person for 60 days, right? I mean, we're not exactly married, but for 60 days, they're going to expect updates. They're going to expect text messaging. They're going to expect like, hey, things are going to get a little hard. Is there a way we can work through those items? Which leads right into creativity, you know, finding ideas before results and finding things that will allow us an opportunity to get the deal done. Teamwork, not just between the agents, but the loan officer involved, escrow and all that stuff. Trust, starting with honesty, equity, opportunities for all and success resulting through people. Because there's really nothing in real estate that really, outside of starting the deal, getting the listing, starting escrow and negotiating repairs, there's nothing that we do. Everything is done by title, the recorder's office, escrow, a loan underwriter and processor. We literally do nothing. And I know this is being recorded, but it just seems like we just manage people's expectations and we're a sounding board, right? We're almost like a coach and a therapist. Exactly what a sports agent does. They do very little other than put the deal together and have an attorney make sure everything is squared away. That'd be like our brokerage and TC, right? Here's the path of the negotiation. And by the way, if anyone wants to raise their hand, just let me know and we'll just jump right in there. Option one, you write an offer, accept it and close. Woo!
Touchdown.
That is awesome. I don't know if you've ever had any of those. I can't think of it right now. But oh, that's not true. Earlier this year, Maureen had one where $2 million purchase side, or we were on the listing side. Buyer agent, God bless him, from EXP. He just made it super easy for us. Showed up. Here's the offer. It didn't appraise. Paid the difference. It closed.
Wow.
I was like,
That's
he
awesome.
could have gotten some money from us, but he just wanted the deal done, right? Option two, offers rejected, offers countered, right? We renegotiate the whole thing. It's accepted, it's rejected, it's closed. That's it. Maybe once accepted, maybe you go back and they're probably missing one hook here where you renegotiate repairs, appraisal, costs, but that's not 30 days of negotiation. That's probably an afternoon. You know, you line up, knock out your one rule of 5, one rule of 6 for the day. By 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, after you've had a quick bite, you're right into problem solving and troubleshooting your deals, finding bids, getting solutions, offering, hey, we got a bid for 15,000. I just sent it over to your email. Do you think we can split the difference and get a credit from the seller for 7,500? Philip, let me ask before you write it up. That's usually how it goes. Philip, we'll do 5,500. What do you think? Awesome, we'll take it, right? Because everyone just wants to say, hey, Mike, welcome back, man. Woo!
Wow, that's cool.
Jeez, man, talk about hitting the ground running, man. Good to see you. Hey,
Got to.
there you go. Like he was in Israel for like a week or two or something. Following his adventures on Instagram too. I didn't know Israel was like beautiful. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
you want to go there? It's the most beautiful, pictures.
Yeah, like holy cow.
With kids too, there's all these hikes in the water and.
Yeah, that was everything I was following on there. I thought it was just, you know, the wall in Jerusalem. There's like way more to do.
Yeah, I've been there 18 times. If you ever want to go, I'll give you.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Did you ever go with, what was that group where?
No, because my dad's from there and I didn't feel comfortable going for freedom because I've been there so many.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
always
that's awesome.
That's so awesome that they do that.
Yeah.
Real quickly, guys, who you negotiate with, your clients, the agent on the other side of the transaction. So if you're on the seller side, then this is just 101, right? But I think a lot of times maybe we put it on a pedestal, like it's way more work than what we're seeing. But this is it, right? Think of it as a very basic way of doing things. Common points of negotiation: price, usually the primary factor, the cost of the property. The other days, for those of us who were here on Thursday morning, I talked about like the hierarchy of calls that you make, and the first one being a price reduction. Guess what? You're negotiating with your seller on getting an official price reduction, right? And so that's also a form of negotiation, not just in putting the deals together. Cost of property too, the terms, either financial, time-based, or both. And terms would also include living on the property for a little longer at free of charge, because that would be financial and time. It might be the appliances, though we're not running into that a whole lot right now. I would imagine with some of the homes that you guys get to show in Cora Hills, Westlake Village, things like the chandelier all of a sudden now become part of the negotiation, all that fun stuff. Any ahas on the things that we've covered so far? Joshua or Nicole or Christopher, anyone here in the room as well?
Not yet for me.
Cool. Awesome, Joshua. Anyone in here, any ahas, anything, questions or moments of clarity? Awesome. 3 P's of negotiation: prepare, present, position. Whoops, gotta go back one. There you go. Preparation is the key to building confidence, ensuring a smooth negotiation process. For anyone whose kids have been in scouting, maybe even Girl Scouts, it says prepared for life, or their motto is be prepared, right? I didn't adopt that as an adult until like way later. And I was like, oh, wow, it's nice to have everything ready before you show up into something, right? So being prepared may be something as simple as knowing the motivation of the client, buyer, seller, maybe knowing the agent on the other side. So I'm not going to go back into it now because I don't want to log back in. But on the MLS, it'll show you who the agent is, the company they're from. It also shows kind of their notes in the bottom, like, hey, the seller needs this, the seller has dogs, whatever they're saying in there. So going in ahead of time and reading what the showing instructions are, what the offer instructions are, if any, finding out what the motivations are of the seller, if you're representing the buyer side, calling the agent. You know, a lot of times, and we do this a lot with Keller Williams, at least I've been able to, you know, this has worked out to our advantage. Hey, from one KW teammate to another, what will make this a win-win situation? So I'm using our lingo, our Y4C2TES in our dialogue. Like, hey, what would make this a win-win for your seller? Let's think about ideas to make it, you know, as smooth as possible and make it stand out. So I'll leverage our internal language and culture, you know, obviously without putting them in a dire position to give us price. Like what are the terms? We can talk terms all day to make this a win-win situation. And if they're not KW, I still use the same language. That's the craziest part. We're still introducing them to foreign language. Maybe they're very aggressive, but there's no harm in using win-win, right? How can we make this a win-win situation? What would make our offer stand out? Right now, if you call the listing agent with that, they'll say, hey, just submit it, it's yours. What, Evie, what did we talk to each other about? I'm on the listing side, you're on the buying side, right? But
Yeah.
it's all like essentially one team, but what was the conversation?
Just write it for $1 more.
Yeah, like literally $1 more and it's your clients.
It
And
was $699,999, and he's like, offer $700,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
$1. Price is right. Just give us $1 and we'll figure the rest out, right?
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my God, I gotta write an offer. I'm nervous. And I was like, wait, it's Philip.
Yeah. Here's the template. Copy. Oh, that was fun. But preparation is it's communication with the other parties, taking down notes if that helps you remember, or typing it into command, wherever you feel most confident. Move into the negotiation process by presenting the offer. On the listing side, not that we're having that situation now, but you can put all of your multiple offers in a spreadsheet that's found on zip form, and then you can line them up from however you want to line them up, or you can go by price and all that stuff. And it's a very simple template. And again, knowing what their motivations are under prepare, you can kind of tee it up to where they'll resonate the most with them. And position, move both parties closer until you have a full agreement. And that's positioning, again, that's back to preparation and presenting. Now you're positioning where and how you're presenting the options at hand, right? Prepare, know your goal, know your client, think ahead, set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, know the documents inside and out. All right. Ask purposeful questions, provides you with the points you will negotiate on, provides insight on where you and your client will have leverage, sets clear expectations, allows you to get to know your client and their goal, helps you learn what will make it a win-win negotiation for both parties. A big one even now would be like, what are the clients willing to walk away with, right? Like, what number will you not sell? It's a basic question from Tom Ferry, Tom Hopkins, from Diana Kokoska, everywhere. But sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot thinking we know what the client wants and not finding out, like Stonehurst, for example, 900,000, she was happy to get 800,
Oh, that's cool to know.
right? So the fact that we still got her 850 in a declining price market, she was like, hallelujah, you know. And I still feel bad that we didn't get a full commission on that. Just, you know, we didn't get the 6, didn't get the 5. Yeah, we took that one at 4.5. But you know, might as well say bye. But yeah.
Is that because that was like written in there too?
Well, we wrote it in there, but it was one of those. So the referral came from Jerry, her son.
Oh,
And she happens to know another listing agent who promised, quote unquote, that she would do the whole thing for 4%. And I was like, oh, we can't, that's a tough swing. We at least have to pay 2.5. So we were even willing to take a lower commission on the list side and pay the buyer agent more money.
yeah.
We did write in there that if we happen to represent the buyer, and it was actually technically her own buyer, you know, somebody that had come to her house prior and he ended up being the last man standing, it would be 2% each side, or 4% total. So she still got the 4%. But she provided the buyer, which is weird. Now this is open versus closed questions, open-ended questions. Questions have unlimited response options. What additional information should I know? What is important about closing in 30 days? How do you feel about that? I call open-ended questions being your consultative questions, your coaching questions. This is where you're not closing, you're just gaining more information, engaging the client or the agent or whoever it is you're speaking with. You're gaining more valuable information about them and what they want to do. Close-ended questions that are specific response and are often yes or no or one word. Do you have to sell your home by a specific date? Do you have any other offers? What is the bottom line price you would consider? This is where we start gaining closing momentum. Yes momentum or no momentum that actually means a yes, right? Like, for example, would you be in a trouble, or I'm just drawing a blank right now. Anyways, but I won't, just moving forward, this is generating momentum towards a close, signing or canceling or whatever the goal is in that scenario. What and why questions. What would happen if helps you anticipate the next steps of negotiation. Why is this important to you? Helps you gain more information and gain more insights. So this is where you get to dig deeper in building relationships with people. You ever hear people say like, oh wow, EB, you just get me, right? Or whoever you're talking with. It's because we were just asking questions and connecting with them or just listening, right? It's amazing. Like if that's all we did were to become like professional consultants, all of our databases, including mine, would just double or triple, right? Because there'd be just more people referring out or whatever it is. Take action scenario. So this is where we work with a partner, read the scenario, list clarifying questions to ask your clients. That's the one. All the other agents. So we're not going to do the scenario right now. Now we're just going to jump into present. So this is where you call the other agent, pay attention to nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. And just keep in mind, this can also work when you're calling a for sale by owner, a client. You just replace the word agent. Keep quiet once you present an offer, listen carefully to what is important to the other party, stay calm and relaxed, focus on the customer's needs, give your offer the best chance. So we kind of peppered in a lot of this dialogue through this morning. A lot of it may be just finding out. So they're talking about presenting an offer on the phone. I usually present like the idea of an offer over the phone. Not like the actual, like, hey, this is written and signed off on. This is what we plan on writing to make it as clean as possible, where you may not even counter us. What are some specific terms or services we can have built in or timelines built in that would just make it easier for your client to either sign off on us or maybe counter us for minor things, right? Or for price. This position, acknowledge and affirm common ground, ask what and how questions, know that positioning is a process and know when to walk away. You know, this is key. My first 2 deals that I really needed at the time did not close. We were in escrow. I think Brenda, you've gone through the same experience, and Bernie, you've had one, you know, so we all kind of have our war stories about it. But the truth is, when I look back on those 2 deals, they were bad deals for the client. You know, now granted, in a long enough vacuum, yes, would it have been nice to buy a condo in North Hills for 200,000 and today it's worth 400? Heck yeah, you know, you eat it, but the neighborhood is suspect, and you know, there were other factors at the time that didn't make sense for them to be there. And when things happen, you kind of think like, I'm late for wherever I'm getting to, but you know what? I just passed 2 accidents on the way here. That could have been me, right? Or whatever, you know, or hey, I think maybe this is God or the universe trying to steer me away from trouble, right?
I always think that way, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, Louisa, I could share this because she talks about it a bunch. She was in a major car accident, like major time, like hit a truck, hit her, or she hit a truck or something like that. And that was like her sign from God or the universe. So like, hey, you should probably slow down, you know, take a beat. It's okay, you know, all that fun stuff. But from a transaction standpoint, no one we're just kind of forcing a round peg in a square hole. I'm experiencing that right now. We might be canceling one of our deals where, if you ever been to the board of realtors, there's a condo complex next door that has no stucco. So we're in escrow with one of those units. And the escrow, they just won't do anything. Like,
What do they know?
there's no stucco. They're in the middle of getting that done, but they
So
ran out of money.
Oh.
And the appraiser saying, hey, we won't pass this. You know, we just can't pass it.
So it's in construction, but they ran out of money.
Right, and the appraiser's calling it a safety hazard. The market's obviously changed and dropped. Now, here's the scenario, guys. We've released all of our contingencies. What do? I'm calling car legal while we're on the broker, so I'll call car legal, get their advice. And then we're gonna cite market conditions, and we're gonna cite that, hey, HOA, can't do anything. Seller hasn't found a replacement home. Hey,
So they can't take
we'll see.
DP.
Well, if we need to, we'll go to arbitration.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's real money. That's $17,000 now. So I already know the worst case scenarios, but that's number 4 to that point, know when to walk away, right? So that's a fun conversation to have today. We'll skip on that. Any ahas that online or here in person that we'd like to share?
One aha is never be afraid to fire your client.
Yes. It's better to do the firing than being fired, right? And if you fire them early, you open up the opportunity for the clients that will work with you.
Yeah.
Ditto for the agent on the other side of the deal. It's totally fine if you want to kind of cut the cord with them, you know, or set boundaries and expectations with them as well, right? That's always a big positive move to make, right? Nothing wrong with that. So negotiating tips, move this over. Be professional, keep your goal in mind, pay attention to your communication tone with anyone involved in transactions. This is why not working 9 hours a day is so key, because energy is so waning, right? Like when I negotiate something opening escrow, I do my best to have the call in the morning where I'm just like, woo, let's get it, right? Or I'm gonna make the call towards the end of the day after I've played with my kids, had another round of coffee, and I'm just like, cool, let's shut it down for the day. And I might wipe out my last couple calls, or maybe after lunch. So in the one thing they talked about, they did a study of judges in Israel, right? And the idea was that they wanted to see where the judges had the most energy and where their energy was low in relation to sentencing people to whatever crime they committed. So that they found out was that in the early morning, they would hit the circuit and people would come, plead their case, whatever it was. And a lot of times the people were either let go or were given lenient sentences. As it got closer to lunchtime, it was, oh, you're going to jail 6 months, a year, 2 years. They were just handing them out like candy. And then after lunch, they noticed, hey, the judges were a little bit more lenient, right? They were 6 months, 3 months. Oh, you can get out of jail now. Oh, we'll take your bail. Oh, that's a good case. Off you go, right? So they found that when the energy was high, the more kinder they were on sentencing. When the energy was low, you're gone. 6 years, 2 years, 3 years, no parole, whatever. And so the point of that was leverage your own self, know your own body. Like, hey, when do I have peak energy? When is my energy the lowest? When energy is the lowest, I'm probably not going to handle negotiation very well. I'm not going to handle a bitching client very well. You know, so I know they're going to be complaining. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll pick this up at 4:45. You know, oh, yeah, quick text, get it in the morning. You know, hey, I'm going to email reply. Hey, great. Someone's complaining about whatever. Hey, that's an awesome observation. Emoji with the glasses. Let's circle back tomorrow when we can get more information from fill in the blank, fill in the blank, and fill in the blank. Okay, Philip, they've been heard. They've been acknowledged. I even gave them props on the observation at hand. And I'm going to save myself from destroying them on the phone by saying, hey, let's pick it up at this time. You know, that whole Star Wars thing or this army thing, always have the higher ground, take the higher ground. That is taking the higher ground in the conversation. Never be the guy or gal like, oh, okay, now we got to fight our way back into it, low energy, all that stuff. Big one, don't be attached to the outcome. Number 6, right? Detach yourself as much as possible from whatever's going on there, even if it's the money involved and all that fun stuff. Let's see here, any ahas on that? I think we're actually done early today. At 10:40. Woo! Wow, that is early. Feels early. Awesome. Any questions or anything you guys want to cover? I mean, we got 20 minutes, or we can call it early online or out here. Anything pressing? Anything you guys want to like knock out? I know we did one this morning on 135, which was kind of cool. Get to work.
Oh, no, meaning like get some deals. Oh.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, so leverage these pieces. You know, you got on Tuesday when I'm back here with you guys, I'll be working out here and we'll make this a mini call center
Oh, yeah.
on those mornings.
Are we gonna do a?
I'll be out there.
Oh, yeah, you guys will be here doing that, and I'll just be out here making calls. I'll be whatever. I won't like be loud.
No, I didn't know. There's something going on Tuesday.
Oh, well, I'm just saying like from an activity standpoint,
Okay.
you know, I'll just like kind of keep the